Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Everybody, another night of Stick with Koolfrogg. Yeah, I guess I'll do a little bit of a show tonight. I'm really kind of tired. Wasn't sure what I was going to do, if I was even going to do a show at all. I'm just going to read a couple different articles from a local paper and cover some local / world news. Some interesting things going on in this world right now, and it's very, very strange. Before we go on too far, let's, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and ring that bell. Well, I found these kind of interesting. Like I said, this is a local newspaper from the state of Minnesota. This is the Star Tribune. They are technically leftist media, so you kind of have to read it the way you wish, take it how you will. But I find it kind of interesting on the articles that they had posted today. This first one here says population declines in Hennepin and Ramsey counties in 2021. This is Minneapolis, St. Paul area. Minneapolis is in Hennepin, St. Paul is in Ramsey. This is state demographer has early retirements and college disruptions due to COVID-19 played a role. Most likely it did. There was also a lot of other things that actually, snowballed right into that actually kind of, I believe, played a factor as well. You did have George Floyd. You did have a couple other circumstances that had occurred where, young men dealing with police. And I'm kind of slowly stepping through this or whatever, is because I'm actually making sure that the YouTube side is actually working as well. Let's go. Let's get this going here. Okay, there's the YouTube side. Like I said, don't forget to share, like, ring that bell. No, don't only just ring that bell. Make sure you click on it, hold it, and hit the all button on there. Make sure that you know when I'm going to go live next. I try going live around midnight Central Standard Time. I know average seems to be about a half hour late on that. Whatever. So either way, so this is Minnesota's two largest urban counties saw striking population declines in 2021 after a decade of growth, according to U.S. Census data, likely due to the pandemic disruptions and which upended college plans and accredited retirements. Hennepin County's population, which includes Minneapolis, dropped nearly 13,900 last year. Ramsey County, which includes St. Paul, declined about 8,200. That's a fairly large number when you think about it. At the same time, population is a lot higher than that. And these people didn't really like they take off and ran across the state for the most. Most of them took off to surrounding suburbs. I was one of them that was in St. Paul, and I am in a surrounding suburb. So I mean, as far as that goes, it's I'm one of the 8,200, as well as my wife and child as well. So in contrast, 5 suburban counties, Anoka, Carver, Dakota, Washington, and Scott, experienced modest population growth, ranging from 1,300 to about 4,100. The largest being in Washington County, which is kind of understandable. Washington County kind of is a very large county that's, south in between the two, and consists of, quite a few smaller suburbs that are part of both Minneapolis and St. Paul. State demographer Susan Brower said that it's still too early to say if this is 1 year blip or leading edge of a trend. Brower said it's also too soon to say if other factors, including more flexible work from home arrangements and concerns about social unrest, that's the big one for me, is the social unrest, and crime in Twin Cities contributed to the decline. Yeah, absolutely it did. There's nothing that you can. You totally are thinking correctly on that one, Miss Brower. When it comes down to it, I guess I'm gonna screen refresh. Okay, that's great. Not only okay, it seems as though you might be still okay. But like I said, yeah, Susan's totally correct on that one. I mean, there was a lot of social unrest and crime that had been occurring, and when I say a lot, I mean car theft went up like 300%. It's ridiculous. These people that are running around thinking that it's okay just to do whatever they want, however they want, and without circumstance. Quote, "This is the first time in recent years we've ever seen Hennepin County decline in these estimates. Not only did it decline, but it declined by nearly 14,000 people. That is considerable. It's very considerable. I mean, technically 14,000, that's a small town that had moved out of a major city. And this isn't just the only major city that this is happening to. This is happening across the whole United States, where people are like, no, I need to get out of here. These big cities not right for me anymore. Big cities getting scary. People running around thinking that it's okay to do whatever they want. It's really something. It really is. And like I said, this isn't just Hennepin County, really, or the Minnesota cities. Population declines in Hennepin and Ramsey counties, Minnesota's two most populous counties, lost residents from 2020 to 2021, which suburban counties continued to grow. So, you can see the -13 and the -8 come out of both Hennepin, Ramsey, Carver, Dakota, Scott, Anoka, and Washington. Now, these 5 counties are so close and interlinked and wrapped in right around Ramsey and Hennepin that they really can be considered part of the city themselves for the most part. Dakota County is probably the most south. That being said, some of that county isn't part of their metro transit system. And being that it's not part of the transit system, there's no buses, there's no trains that, high speed or whatever that come down through there, which is the reason that they probably would have seen a smaller growth than what the other ones did. Because the other ones are, so close that they actually have running metro transit systems that actually, push people around the city to get to work and shop and back home. Very popular, transit system. Brower said that she believes in 2021 data was most likely reflects how the pandemic affected the migration of society's most mobile population, young adults, as well as those of the sunset of the careers. College students who otherwise would have moved to the Twin Cities to go to school deferred. Students who were in school here in the Twin Cities moved back home. We also know people retired earlier than they otherwise would have in their older ages. We may have seen some some of that happen up to the lake sooner than we would have otherwise. So I mean, yeah, absolutely, because everybody's scared of all these lies that are being perpetrated and pushed to the masses to make them feel this concern to either retire or move out of the cities. She said well-established trends such as declining birth rates and aging population and decreasing immigration became even more pronounced during the pandemic. Yeah, I mean, even more pronounced on the decline of birth rate. I mean, we kind of already know that as a civilization that you need to have somewhere around 5 to 7 children for a civilization to actually consider to continually grow. We're on average having 1 to 3. That's not a good trend. That's not going to keep us from population decline. It's not really a good thing for us as a civilization. So international immigration is another piece of this. It's been slowing down over the last few years. This was especially so during the pandemic, as everyone sort of stayed put, as they pretty much should have. I mean, most people should have just stayed right where they were, and not tried to push across southern borders or anything like that. Pushing migration across that southern border, by the millions. I'm not so positive that everybody really stayed all that put. It seems to me that some people may have been traversed across the county or across the country to different places. We'll get into a little bit more of that in a little bit here. So it shows that the Metropolitan Council, the regional planning agency, said they were studying the new data, but they believe that their own population estimates to be released in July will be higher. We think our population estimates will look different based on the development trends, said Met Council Research Manager Joel Hutting. We think the population estimates will look different than the development trends. I'm not so positive that's actually a correct statement either. I mean, I really don't see population being anything different than what they're estimating. And if it's anything different, I would think that more people left than what they're guessing. Hutton said they look at housing counts and building permits and determining population estimates. In 2020 was a strong year for development, with more than 19,000 residential units added across the Twin Cities. I mean, that is a lot of residential units, but the sad is because everything is so expensive that people weren't working. I doubt that the 19,000 residential units were actually filled. I really don't see that being a thing. Has disruption subsided? While anecdotal reports of people leaving cities and flocking for more spacious suburbs and rural communities during the pandemic abound, Brower said this 1 year of census data doesn't provide that kind of insight. That is something I'm not entirely sure of yet. That's because we can't disentangle the retirement migration and the student migration from those people in the middle years. Families look to make a move out of the urban county to a more rural setting for a more suburban setting. Yeah, exactly. People do. That's what they're doing. They're looking for, to get out of the big urban center and get into these rural settings in the suburbs, because they feel potentially safer in those locations. Brower said that she believes that the disruption to college students in the surge of retirements has subsided. Quote, we know enrollment numbers rebounded at the University of Minnesota. Classes were held in person in the fall. Yeah, I mean, classes were starting to be, are starting to be held a little bit more in class as opposed to everything just being online, which online courses, can be good for some people. Some people is not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. If they're not self-motivated enough to actually do that, that's not a good place for them to actually be wasting their money on college, sitting at home without the motivation to actually get themselves to actually finish, even a simple little project, or, even do any homework whatsoever. Brower said it will take more data to determine if the pandemic has prompted some people to move away from the core cities for other reasons, including more work flexibility. Well, again, I don't really think it's the work flexibility all that much, because people already knew how to travel. There was a lot of movement in the big cities or whatever before all this occurred. People knew how to move themselves around, and that's why these cities are as large and sprawling as they are. I do hear from people who say, we think a lot of people have been freed from their desks and now they can live wherever they want to live. These data are consistent with that as well. We may see that emerge in an ongoing pattern, but because this is so close to all of that other unusual migration, we need to be a little bit careful. But because this was so close to all the other unusual migration, we need to be a little bit careful. I mean, it is an unusual migration because usually people are trying to get to a city to get to a bigger, better, higher paying job. The difference between small towns and big cities, when you're walking around, people don't pay attention to you. They don't look up at you. They don't hold a conversation with you. If you're in a small town, small city, they have the tendency to actually go and walk up to you, say hi, be neighborly, throw some bags, drink some beers, and, hang out with you. So people are going to find themselves actually going to these smaller towns on purpose. Before we move on here, it looks like America Shirts has decided to join me. America Shirts, what's up, buddy? How's
Yellow. Sorry for the lateness.
No, it's all right. It's all right. We're talking about population.
It's very busy
decrease.
around springtime.
Yeah,
We're talking about
population decrease. So this article.
Ooh, population decrease. I love population
I figured you'd like
decreases.
that one. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Through new jabs and healthcare and reproductive services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
I think you're doing a pretty good job, sir.
Oh well, I really try. I really do. It's really good.
So I am kind of getting through this article a little bit here, so I marked this here. It says unrest
Business is doing just fine.
So if we go up here just a slight bit and show you the graphic, this is what's going on here in Minnesota. This is the Twin Cities area. So Hennepin would be Minneapolis, Ramsey would be St. Paul, and you can see that large cities are losing population, and they're all moving into the suburbs, which are right around it. So then Dakota County is the, like I explained to everybody else already, is south of the cities. They are still considered part of the metro area, but they don't have as much of a metro transit. So there's no buses or trains that come through this area, unlike all the other counties.
Wait. So there's no eugenics going on here?
No, sorry. Sorry,
You know,
that's not the
I
case.
gotta sue you
We're
for
just kind of moving
fraud.
around.
Because I was under the impression that we were talking about population control. But no,
No, they're just moving around. They're making it harder for you.
go eat your bugs and die. Oh, and go crawl in the pod when you do that too.
Which one did I stop at? No, this one here. Unrest impact on certain.
Remember, I'm
So-
Bill Gates. I wear a pink sweater.
Good for you and your pink sweater.
It's cashmere.
Oh, ooh, yeah, we like cashmere.
I have 5 closets of them.
All pink.
Of varying colors of that spectrum, yes.
Nice, nice. So peaches, salmons.
Yes, it is almost become controversial when I wear something that's a blue or even a purple. It's very strange. People find it very weird.
Anyway. So this says unrest impact uncertain. So this is Brower. So this is this lady that's, you know, has this position here in Minnesota. So this is Brower said, there's a strong sense among some Minnesotans, especially away the Twin Cities, and people fearful of unrest and violence are leaving the urban core. When I talk to greater Minnesotan audiences, they're really expecting to see this. Those narratives are very much alive. I'm surprised at the number of places I go where it comes up. Narratives come up wherever you go, Miss Brower. Really? These numbers are not inconsistent with that. But there's other things going on at the same time that doesn't allow us to pinpoint that as the leading narrative of what I think is happening. Well, what she thinks is happening and what's actually happening isn't necessarily the same thing. She's, you know, pinpointing it. She's trying to actually say, you know, that a lot of it has to do with just the pandemic at hand. She did on the unrest slightly. I seem to be having some connection issues
Yeah, a little bit.
with my restream. It seems to be lagging a little bit tonight. She has this tendency to think that it has everything to do with the pandemic, you know, as she says up here. And doesn't really think that it has too much to do with the unrest, though she still brings up the social unrest and crime. Oh, the social unrest and crime in the Twin Cities contributed to decline. There's concerns that some of that may have, you know, agitated it a little bit more to actually show this much of a decline of major city into the suburbs. But, you know, like I was saying earlier, this isn't just in the Twin Cities that this is happening. This is happening in every major city that's Democrat led anyway, for sure. They're all, you know, everybody's like, nope, time to get out. Got to get out of here. There's a mass retirement. There's a lot of students that aren't going to school. What's that?
What's that song? Gotta get out of here. What is that?
I really don't know what song you're trying to get at.
There is some kind of song.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm unable to help you with your thought. I'm
Yeah, a
unable
lot
to
of
finish your
help
sandwich
you are
tonight.
there.
I'm so sorry.
you know.
Oh, I'm freaking tired. I got like 3 hours of sleep this morning and no nap. So,
Ooh, no naps.
yeah. I'm here, but, just a little tired, that's all. So, speaking of movement and migration,
Ooh.
again, all of my articles come out of the Star Tribune. This one right here. Watching war from afar, Ukrainian refugees welcomed to Pelican Rapid. Oh, really? How many? How many people actually came and moved themselves to Minnesota? Because Minnesota is well known for pulling in large amounts of refugees and clumping them in one area,
How
which
many
is the reason
people?
that you came up with people like Ilhan Omar.
Da, 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 da.
So I mean,
Ba-da-ba-da-da. Elon Omar.
right, exactly. 70,000 Muslims were moved into Minnesota back
Muslims.
under the Obama administration,
Bomber.
and we see what happened.
Can't say
They
who's
put
saying.
70,000 of them right in Hennepin County, and that's where Ilhan Omar gets to pick up a seat, and she gets to go and run around the country singing Allah Akbar. And it's disturbing in itself when you think about it. Oh, by the way, I was going to let you know before we actually started the show tonight. I had put up a couple clips. I played the one at the beginning of the show. The other one that I had actually posted a day ago is sitting at 255 views. And it says, "I'm not a biologist," is what it's labeled as.
What?
Yep, I got 255 views off of a little 37-second clip.
Well, do you have the live show thing advertised there?
Do I have the... Oh, do I have it this show advertised there? Yes, absolutely. It's on the same channel. Yeah. I might have to actually go do some commenting or whatever on it.
Or turn the comments on.
It is on. It is on.
It says comments are turned off.
Well, that will get changed.
Oh, is
afterward.
that the tubes? Is that YouTube? Because we got to protect Lady Brown Jackson.
They're turned off because I had it set for made for kids. That's why.
Oh,
that's why. I would have to change it to.
You think that's made for children?
I mean, it's working. I suppose if I changed it, I might get a couple more. I did get one sub out of it, out of the couple of videos that I posted. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
So anyway, moving on up. So watching war from afar. Ukrainian refugees welcome to Pelican Rapids. So, this is...
I thought it said welcomed a pelican in Rapids or something.
In Pelican Rapids, yeah. Pelican Rapids is on the west side of Minnesota, really close to the North Dakota border, maybe kind of close to the North/South Dakota border. It kind of, runs about halfway through Minnesota. It's right around in that area. Not saying anything's wrong with, mass migration, but, like I said, when you put 70,000 people in one spot, then they all go and rattle up somebody like Ilhan Omar to go and, run for Congress, not necessarily the best, right? Well, I can't going to be able to even read these names. Alicia and Vova hold their 2 boys, Roma and Arthur, at home of Gina and Bill Nelson in Pelican Rapids. So people are actually opening their homes to allow people in, for the time being, which is awesome. I totally love the fact that it's what's happening or whatever. But
Can I just say something, though?
yeah,
I mean, how many of these people would allow some Middle Eastern Muslim person to come into their house? I mean, honestly. But then, we'll accept the Ukrainian, you know? But yet we open up the borders, the southern borders, to, like, God knows who and everybody, and they can just flood the whole freaking country. And, like, oh, yes, sure, we'll just dump a bunch of Somali refugees and, like, all these other different people in Minnesota and whatever. It's like, how many of them were taken into people's homes? Oh, wait, no. But the Ukrainians, oh, that's different. That's different, I guess because they're relatively civilized in comparison to quote a CBS reporter in Kiev, in comparison to the other Middle Eastern and African countries. Oh, all of those little blonde-haired and blue-eyed children being hurt really affects those, it really affects people, I guess, right? Is this like a bigger city, or is this like a smaller town?
it's a smaller town.
It's a smaller town. Oh,
Yeah, it's a smaller town. So, I mean, it's kind of, that's why I said, how many people? Is it just this one family that, met somebody, knew somebody that met somebody? Because, I mean, in this paragraph here, it says,
I guarantee you they're not the only ones doing this.
Olesa and her husband fled Ukraine with their 2 children a few weeks ago before the war started, with the help of a Minnesota friend they met through a relative. So a friend through a relative. Now their main connection is home. To home are internet photos and stories of tanks and bombed out buildings, news sites, and friends' social media feeds. I mean, cries. Often she attempts to process her home's uncertain future from across the world. You left. It's no longer your home. Your home is now where you're at right now. That much what it's going to come down to is, you came here for a reason. You fled your country because of the unrest, because of, the war that was ready to occur. Why would you think that you're going to go back? At times I can't even sleep because the news keeps me up. I try to repost my friends' posts. It gives me a sense of peace that I am doing something to spread awareness on what's happening.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Yeah, what kind of awareness are you spreading and on what? What are you actually happening? This dang restream, I tell ya, it just kicked again.
Well, you're still here on my side.
What is it showing here? So it's showing more than a 10-second delay between what Restream is doing and what YouTube is doing. Normally it's only like 3 or 4. Residents in and around Pelican Rapids have rolled out the red carpet for the family, which fled Chernov, a city close to the Russian border that faced severe damage in the onset of the war and continues to see fighting. After an arduous journey to the United States, they're trying to make the best of an unfamiliar life in the Minnesota prairie. Like I said, it's small. A couple dozen strangers carried blue and yellow balloons and cheered the
Oh, it's right there.
Sick of this thing refreshing on me. Carried blue and yellow balloons and cheered the family when they arrived in Hector International Airport in Fogger earlier this month. As others learned their story, chronicled by Gina Nelson's Facebook page, the journey to safety kindness followed from the monetary donations to a meal at Texas Roadhouse. I mean, so, anybody and everybody was like, oh my God, we should go help them. And I'm glad that they do. I'm glad that people decide to actually, help people with these type of issues. But why do we always overlook our own people when it comes to handing out patronage? Because it seems that there's an awful lot of people that are still struggling that have been in the United States for their whole life. Us impoverished people really don't have a lot of money and a lot of things, but we'll sit here and we'll continue to struggle while they get praised for fleeing a country and handed whatever they needed. And this country's about working, and that's what it's always should be about. Go get a job now and pay it back. Not necessarily that I'm saying pay it back. I'm talking, in a roundabout way. Now do something good.
Yeah, but I mean, this is all just propaganda, like off the charts. I mean, this is just this is a bit ridiculous. That was one of the first things
that I said. This is from the Star Tribune. This is leftist media. So I mean,
it's like, why would these people come to the United States and then be like, "Oh, my poor motherland. Oh no!" It's like you moved halfway across the freaking planet. Okay, now you're living with someone else in someone else's house halfway across the planet. That do you even know these people? It's like, I mean, what the hell? I mean, if you're that concerned and you oh, gee, what's going to happen in my country, as though like it's still your country, you'd like to go back, why didn't you just go to Poland?
Or anywhere else for that matter.
Yeah, somewhere closer to your home country. Why'd you move clear across the Atlantic Ocean? Right in the smack dab in the middle of the freaking North American continent. What was that about?
And if you actually
and who paid for that?
If you actually pull up a map of Minnesota to see where this is, like I said, it's like right on that North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota border area, whatever. It's so close to that point, and it's just like unreal of a place for them to actually, just be dropped off and be like, well, here you go. We'll use our hosting program, and you can actually just go and, you can live with this family for as long as you need. Looks like they've been doing it with, with Ukrainian youth, for holidays and stuff or whatever. So it's this program's been around that they're using to actually get themselves somewhere. As opposed to it being used for just the youth, to get the youth around. I mean, they're actually hosting full families. To me, it seems a little strange that they got to use this program, as well as they knew a friend of a relative, that actually helped them, use this program to get to where they needed to be. The article really doesn't need to be finished. There it is. There's the map. There's Pelican Rapids. You can see that border's like right here. Oh, there it is, the white line. You can see the white line, right? So I mean, it's so super close to that area. But I mean, as far as that goes, these can't be the only people that actually fled their country to come here, as well as all the other people that are, seeking asylum in the United States, thinking that it's going to be a better place to live. Don't forget, don't vote for people like this guy. The second that you vote for people like that guy, you're just going to run into the same problems that you're running away from. Thursday, President Joe Biden announced that U.S. will accept up to 100,000 Ukrainians fleeing Russia's invasion. Remember I said that what they did with the Obama administration, 70,000 all in one spot. What are they going to do with 100,000 Ukrainians? Are they going to sprinkle them around and melt them into the melting pot of the United States of America? Or does the melting pot even exist any longer?
They're trying to destroy.
Seems to be that there's a lot of stuff that's clumping up in that pot. So what's going on?
Oh, I said it. I think they're trying to destroy the melting pot.
Oh yeah, no, exactly, and that's pretty much what I'm getting at is, do we even have a melting pot? I don't think we do. I don't think that it's the same as it ever had been. And they're gonna clump these people because where's the best place to put one next to the other? Why? Because they can help each other, as well as hold the conversation. Because not all of them are gonna know anything close to knowing what they need to know for speaking English for the country that they're in. They're still going to be speaking Ukrainian, Russian, and Polish, whatever else that they have known forever. Not everybody speaks English, but that's our national language. Are we going to try pressing that they need to actually learn our national language? Or are they going to say that we need to learn their language so that they feel more comfortable with us? Which way is this supposed to melt?
Up? I don't know. Whichever way is the most backward.
I want to read the whole article. The article is, it's you can see what's going to happen is they're going to put people like this in small towns. Let's stop sharing that screen for a moment. Let me see if I can't. Get an actual population on Pelican Rapids. 2,464. That's a pretty small little town out in the middle of that big huge area of Minnesota that's very, very deep red. Keep the shit where you got it from. Don't bring it here. Then one article to the next. That one brings us to this next one, which is super close, similar to what we were just kind of reading about, which is the reason why I said we're not going to go through the whole article, is because this one kind of delves into it a little bit closer. Look at that. Biden pledges new Ukrainian aid, warns Russia of chem weapons. They're giving them a warning not to use chemical weapons.
Just in case.
Yeah. So, our President of the United States of America took a trip over to Europe today. You can see he was in Brussels. Some say it was a green screen. Some say he didn't go. Others say, yeah, he was there. I seen him.
Some say he shat himself. I say he does that just about every other day.
I wouldn't doubt it. At least a couple times.
At least a couple of times. Just to be sure.
So, out of Brussels, President Joe Biden and Western allies pledged now sanctions and humanitarian aid on Thursday in response to Vladimir Putin's assault on Ukraine. But their offers fell short for more robust military assistance that President Vladimir Zelensky pleaded for in a pair of live video appearances. Live video appearances, huh? You didn't actually meet with him? The heck. Biden also announced that the U.S. would welcome up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees, though he said many probably prefer to stay closer to home and provide an additional $1 billion in food, medicine, water, and other supplies. The Western leaders spent Thursday crafting next steps to counter Russia's month-old invasion and huddling over how they would respond should Putin deploy chemical, biological, and even a nuclear weapon. They met in a trio of emergency summits that had them shuttling across Brussels from back-to-back meetings of NATO and group of 7 industrialized nations in the 27-member European Council. Biden, in early evening news conference after the meetings, warned that chemical attack by Russia would trigger a response in kind. Really? So if they do something, you're going to do something back? I don't think you're going to, you little piece of crap. We're asking whether NATO would make that decision at the time. You're asking whether NATO would make the decision at the time. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you any leeway. We're not going to say what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. But when that time comes, the decision will be made. And they, dang well, Joe Biden, if he says that he's going to do something, not necessarily is he always going to do it, he's dang well going to try. However, a White House official said later that did not imply any shift in the U.S. position against direct military action in Ukraine. Biden and NATO allies have stressed that the U.S. and NATO would not put troops on the ground in Ukraine. The official was not authorized to comment publicly by name and spoke only on condition of, I can't say this word, anonymity. Zelensky, while thankful for the newly promised help, made clear to the Western allies he needed far more than they're currently willing to give. Why do you need what? Stop giving them stuff. 1% of all of our planes, 1% of all your tanks. 1%?
The top percent of 1%.
1% of all of our tanks. What do you need? What? We're not giving you 1% of nothing. We can't just buy those. When we will have all this, it will give us, just like you, 100% security. 1% of our military is going to give you 100% security? Don't believe it. I really don't. I don't see that being a necessity. Are we gonna go and just what are we gonna do with the Ukraine? This is upsetting. I really hate Ukraine. I really hate the whole issue. I really hate the whole conflict. The whole thing just needs to be thrown out. Throw a bomb at it.
Ooh.
One big one from, that, not us. Let somebody else throw it at them. And then we'll throw one at the bomb that won't catch it until it gets there. And that way both of them hit at the same time. Oh. Biden said more aid was on the way, but the Western leaders are treading carefully so as not to further escalate the conflict beyond the borders of Ukraine. Quote, NATO has made choice to support Ukraine in this war without going to war with Russia, said Emmanuel Macron. Therefore, we have decided to intensify our ongoing work to prevent any escalation, to get organized in case there's an escalation. Therefore, we have
Escalation.
decided to intensify our ongoing work to prevent an escalation and to get organized in case there is an escalation. I mean, great. You gotta wait for one side to escalate it before the other side will escalate. And once one side does a little bit, the other side does a little bit. And they say, oh, they did something. Well, let's do something over here. Let's do something over there. Just gonna get... Right. Eventually, you're just gonna get to the point of no return. Got a little bit of heartburn going on. Jeez. Poland and other eastern flank NATO countries are seeking clarity on how the U.S. and European nations can assist in dealing with their growing concerns about Russian aggression as well as the refugee crisis. More than 3.5 million refugees have fled Ukraine in recent weeks, including more than 2 million to Poland. 2 million are fleeing Poland. That's an awful lot of people.
Ja.
Biden is to visit Poland Friday, which is, coming up today, where energy and refugee issues are expected to be at the center of talks with President Duda. He'll get a briefing of humanitarian aid efforts and assist fleeing refugees, and he'll meet with U.S. troops from the 82nd Airborne Division who have been deployed in recent weeks to bolster NATO's eastern flank. Billions of dollars of military hardware have already been provided to Ukraine. A U.S. official who requested anonymity to discuss internal deliberations said Western nations were discussing the possibility of providing anti-ship weapons amid concerns that Russia would launch amphibious assaults along the Black Sea coast. Now, I mean, you're going to worry about one sea but not the other. I mean, these missiles that they're launching they're longer range than that. They don't need to strategically place themselves in certain spots to be able to hit certain targets. If they want to hit a target, they're going to hit the target. Biden said his top priority on Thursday's meeting was to make certain that the West stayed on the same page. In its response to Russian aggression against Ukraine, the single most important thing is for us to stay unified. Yeah, because that's what you've been peddling, is unification. Can't even keep your own country unified. And you're going to try keeping the world unified? Stop it.
Yes.
Finland announced...
Do it, Koolfrogg!
Finland announced Thursday it would send more military equipment to Ukraine, its second shipment in about 3 weeks. Belgium announced it will add 1 billion euros to its defense budget in response to Russia's invasion. So all these other countries are going to be like, well, we better float some money so that way, we can bolster our military just a little bit, so that way,
Just a wee
just in case. You just don't ever know what's going to happen next.
Just in case.
At the same time, Washington will expand its sanctions on Russia. Expanding sanctions. I think I
How convenient.
caught the clip of him actually saying expanding sanctions on Russia, targeting members of the country's parliament along with the defense contractors. The U.S. said it will also work with other Western nations to ensure gold reserves held by Russia's central bank are subject to existing sanctions. With Russia facing increasing international isolation, NATO Security General Jens Stoltenberg also warned China against coming to Moscow's rescue. He called on Beijing to join the rest of the world and clearly condemn the brutal war against Ukraine and not support Russia. He warned China not to support Russia. Do you think China really cares what Joe has to say? Or Jens has to say? Or anybody else that comes from NATO has to say? They don't care. They're sick of the crap and they want it done and over with. And it's going to happen sooner than we think, and everybody's going to be awfully upset. World War IV gets fought with sticks and stones. So,
Yes.
that's pretty much what happens.
Right.
But Stoltenberg, too, made clear that the West had a responsibility to prevent this conflict from becoming a full-fledged war in Europe. It's not a war. It's because it's not full-fledged. It's not a war. Or is she saying that she's, trying to prevent World War III? The possibility that Russia will use chemical or even nuclear weapons has been a grim topic of conversation in Brussels. Yeah, everybody's concerned, as they should be, that these kind of weapons, chemical and or nuclear weapons, would be used in any case.
Oh, you mean like
No.
those little tactical ones of those that everybody in Congress was like, hey, let's just layer Russia with those. Just for the hell of it. Like, can we just do that? You mean
Yeah.
those? You mean those?
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Putin's like, well, we have those too, by the way. Like, maybe you shouldn't just drop tactical nukes all over us. Like, that would be nice. Just for the hell of it, I mean, I know you Congress people, you're all kind of, you like your nukes, you like your, kill the Ruskies, but, we got some of those too. We could send one down your chimney, like, get some of those hypersonic, like, I mean, the only way to win is not to play.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
A strange game.
We need to not play this game.
It is the globalist game. To have their war, to cover for things, and to blame it all on the Ruskies, or the conservators, or Republicans in the United States, And then we'll blame all those people. Probably won't be people after that. We'll probably be called vermin. And, this is leading up to what they want. I mean, they've already shut down people, just with the snap of their finger who, are Russian or have any ties to anybody in Russia that they think might be a threat or whatever. Like, boom, your bank account's gone, boop, everything's gone. Like in freaking Canada, like you were in the protests, like, boop, bank account's gone, everything's wiped, you're done. Got a mortgage on your house, too bad, gone, done, goodbye. Like, this is how they get their ways with things and how they get to have the excuse to, pull that stuff up. Kind of like what happened after 9/11, right? The Patriot Act, and like, hey, guess what? Guess how much power we have now.
Right.
They get a lot of things out of this. And the only way for us to win is not to play.
So then she said that NATO leaders agreed Thursday to send equipment to the Ukraine to help protect against the chemical weapons attack, which is wonderful. But again, we're sending more and more crap.
to get blown up.
Right. How many more
I mean, do
warehouses
people
are we
think that
going to
Russia's just going to
fill
allow them
and
to
allow
wash
them
their
to
asses in and just plop a bunch of weaponry in front of them and then walk away? Like,
be like, by the way, we put them in this warehouse.
yeah, right, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna stick them over here. That's fine. It's fine. Boom, blows up. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe you did it. It's like, yeah, no, they're like, they're they're in the middle of a little bit of a military conflict there. I don't think that's probably a wise thing to do. But hey, what the hell, Frickin' Zelensky will give away his position like a million and one different times while he's saying that Putin wants to kill him and his entire family. And then now he's behind a green screen now when he's not saying that. So it's like, I mean, everything's just so trustworthy and wonderful when it comes to Ukraine.
So, White House officials said that both the U.S. and NATO have been planning or have been working on contingency planning should Russia deploy non-conventional weaponry. NATO has specially trained and equipped forces if there should be such an attack against a member nation's population, territory, or forces. Ukraine is not a member. I'm glad that they actually pointed that out, that Ukraine is not a member, that we have nothing to do with the Ukraine.
Yes, they are not.
Us sending billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment and money and whatever else to help this out isn't helping anybody except for the person that's in charge. I think that's helping him. I really do. I really think that that's what most of this is. It's going to get snowballed right back into him. The big guy. Stoltenberg said in an NBC News interview that if Russia deployed chemical weapons, that would make an unpredictable, dangerous situation even more dangerous and even more unpredictable. He declined to comment about how the alliance might respond. The White House National Security Council launched efforts days after the invasion through its Tiger team, which is tasked with planning 3 months out, and a second strategy group working on a longer term review of any geopolitical shift that may come. According to the senior administration official, the official was not authorized to comment publicly and spoke on the condition of anonymity. Why does everybody need to be anonymous about all of it? Just come straight out and tell us what you're doing. Both teams are conducting contingency plans for scenarios including Russia's potential use of chemical and biological weapons, targeting the U.S. security convoys in the region, disruptions in global food supply chains, and growing refugee crisis. Yeah, right. I believe I got this is one of the clips that I caught too. Is Biden, before reporting for Europe on Wednesday, said that the possibility of a chemical attack was a real threat. In addition, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told CNN this week that Russia could consider using its nuclear weapons if it felt there were an existential threat to our country. So Russia's feeling threatened. If they feel threatened, they're going to do what they need to do. And they're willing to do it. I think Putin might be losing his mind a little bit. Finland's Prime Minister Sanna Marin on Thursday warned Russia is capable of anything. Anybody's capable of anything. It's not just Russia that's capable of anything. There's so many more different things that could occur that they're not taken into effect. They're just, Russia. Oh, it's Russia. Take care of Russia. They don't respect any rules. They don't respect any international laws that they are actually committed to. International laws that they're not actually committed to. Do you think anybody's really actually committed to international laws?
Yeah.
Do you think the United States actually follows international laws and doesn't do anything against that? Ever?
Oh, never. Never.
Do you think the Ukraine?
Oh, the Ukraine is the bestest of the best. They're better than us, don't you know? I mean, they're just like... They're the
Ukraine
most
didn't do
fantastic
shit.
things in the world.
They just stood there and took it. Because everyone takes a beating sometimes, right?
Okay, Binger. Okay, Fluffer Boy. Or Fluffer Frog.
Oh, don't even start. Stop it.
That's gonna be the new thing. YouTube won't let me say the other in the comments.
It won't let me say the other in the comments.
So it's gonna be Fluffer Frog 2004.
We'll get you to forget that one. Just come up with a better one. The Russian invasion has spurred European nations to reconsider their military spending, and Stoltenberg opened that NATO summit by saying that alliance must respond to a new security reality in Europe. The bolstering of forces along NATO's eastern flank will put pressure on national budgets. And this is plural national budgets. This isn't just putting pressure on, one person's or one group's budget or one country's budget. This is going to hurt everybody. The energy crisis, exasperated by the war, is a particularly hot topic in the European Council summit, where leaders from Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Greece are hoping for an urgent, coordinated, bloc-wide response. EU officials have said that they will seek U.S. help on a plan to top up natural gas storage facilities for next winter, and they also want the bloc to jointly purchase gas. Didn't we hear something about the purchase of gas and other subsidies or whatever that come out of Russia, that Russia wants you to actually spend rubles and not the American dollar like everybody else already spends?
Rubles. Yeah.
So, let's bump up, Russia's pocket here real quick before we go and we say, no, we don't want anything to do with you. Buy up all the stuff that they need, keep the storage, because, storing natural gas and other, subsidies or whatever in large containers, when hit by bombs, they don't explode or anything. No. We won't go there. Nah. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has dismissed calls to boycott Russian energy supplies, saying it would cause significant damage to its country's economy.
Oh, is that Olaf's last name? Is that
Scholz?
who that is? Yeah. See, I thought that the German Chancellor had a particularly pointy nose. I think this is why he's a snowman in a human suit. From that horrific movie. That horror show called Frozen.
Scholz is facing pressure
Anyway.
from the environmental activists to quickly wean Germany from Russian energy. But he said the process will have to be gradual. I'm sorry, I told you I'm tired. I'm not able to finish your sandwiches tonight. To do so from one day to the next would mean plunging our country into all of Europe into recession. Yeah, it's not just going to plummet them into recession. If it's going to plummet anybody into recession, it's also going to do it to this wonderful United States of America. Ursula von der Leyen, head of the European Union's executive arm, said before Biden's visit that she wanted to discuss the possibility of securing extra deliveries of liquefied natural gas from the United States for the 27-nation bloc for the next 2 winters. She wants deliveries of liquefied natural gas from the United States for the next 2 winters.
Oh, she's not getting
Are
it.
they seriously thinking this is going to last that long? I mean,
It's the
I
Great
get
Reset.
it, the last, major conflict that we were all part of and decided to recklessly pull out of, we were there for 20 years.
We were
So,
indeed.
me thinking that, a couple months is enough.
Out in the puppy fields. Do. Isn't that a song? Oh no, that's not a song. That's it.
Sounded a little strange, but okay.
I'm
America
kidding.
Shirts is writing his own songs.
I am. It's. They're not. Are they catching on? Are they catchy? Are they? Not really. He's not going to respond. They're bad. Okay. Well.
What's going on?
You don't like my music.
Oh.
I'm feeling lonesome tonight.
The EU imports 90%
That's
of
a
the
song, too.
natural gas used to generate electricity, heat homes, and supply industry, with Russia supplying almost 40% of the EU gas and a quarter of its oil. The bloc is hoping to reduce its dependence on Russian gas by diversifying suppliers. The U.S. is looking for ways to surge LNG supplies to Europe to help, said Jack Sullivan, Biden's national security advisor. Thanks, Jake.
Jake from State Farm? No, I'm just kidding.
4 new
Stupid.
NATO battlegrounds or battle groups, which usually number between 1,000 and 1,500 troops, are being set up in Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, and Bulgaria. Really? You don't say. We're just massing troops in these 4 countries nearby. Because about 9,000 some odd troops. Whatever. Medhani reported to Washington Associated Press writers. Oh, this is just Matthew Lee, Hannah Fingerhut, Ellen Nickmeyer, and Darlene Superville of Washington and Samuel of Brussels contributed to this report. It took an awful lot of people to write this report. Good thing it only took me to read it. It's a lot of people. Let's pull that down. To say the least, Joe Biden really is not the answer to anything. And the reasoning for him to actually continue to actually push for this particular war is nonetheless very disturbing. And we need to stop. We need to not go and continue
Do not come.
to interject in other people's country or their wars, anything that has anything to, why are we the peacekeepers? What made us the ones that need to actually interfere in everybody else's conflicts? Speaking of interfering in everybody else's conflicts, that brings us to this next article. U.S. should do more to end war in Ethiopia. Why? I get it. This is just an opinion piece. This is a Bloomberg opinion. It's just an opinion.
No.
Somebody's thoughts.
It's the movie Sniper, remember? You ever watched the movie Sniper with Mark Wahlberg? And he was the sniper. At the beginning, they were stationed in Ethiopia.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure. It's predictive programming, people.
But, they want us to actually have something to do with this and ending the war with Ethiopia.
Oh, there's also the famous
What do we
line
have
from
to
that
do
movie.
with Ethiopia?
There's a big club and you ain't in it. It's like, yeah. But anyways, but yeah, exactly.
So nice big picture of this big, huge black cloud. It says people are seen in front of clouds of black smoke from fires in the aftermath after the scene.
I think that's a little racist, Koolfrogg. You're in Africa. Could you be a little more, racially
I'm
sensitive?
just reading the article that they put up. This is from the Associated Press. If the wording's not right, take it up with the AP.
I'm just trying to, make sure that we don't, of course, violate YouTube's, hate guidelines or whatever the hell. We don't want to be too racially insensitive to all of the, darker colored, charcoal-esque clouds that form as a result of some civil war that we should totally be there to stop. Got to keep all of our points here. Jabs are good. Make sure you get 85,000 of them at once.
Yes, if you didn't get your last one, make sure you travel to some place like Israel to make sure you do get.
Yeah. Yes, you need to have a blood transfusion, right? Like you just empty out your blood and then fill your body up with Bill Gates' stabbies and jabs. Like that's, you don't need your own blood. You have
hold on.
You have
Susan,
the drug
we're not
companies
doctors.
to give
We're
you,
not trying to tell people what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Everybody should see their doctor do what's best for them.
Just trying to hit all the bases here,
Coming from a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Abiy Ahmed's call for restraint and diplomacy to end the war in Ukraine might have attracted more attention if the Ethiopian Prime Minister hadn't stained his laurels with the blood of his own people. Reports of hideous war crimes committed by Ahmad's forces and those of his Eritrean allies, I don't know, I'm guessing that's a group, against civilians in a rebel northern province of Tigray, make a mockery of his appeals for non-violence in other parts of the world. Russia's invasion of the Ukraine has diverted international attention from the conflicts elsewhere, including those in Yemen, Mozambique, and Africa's Sahel. The region just south of the Sahara. And in Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous nation, a bloody civil war is now in its 16th month. We don't need to be involved in somebody else's civil war. I'm so sick of it. Every single time that somebody else is having something that's going on, we're like, oh, we should have something to do with that. We should go interject in their stuff. It's a civil war. It's between their people. It has nothing to do with us. We go in there with Joe Biden's leftist military and take out the wrong group. Just, I really don't. Maybe they just take them all out.
Completely on accident, of course.
The fighting between Abiy's forces and the rebel Tigray People's Liberation Front seems at a standstill, but human rights groups and multilateral organizations have condemned atrocities on both sides. Of course, it's both sides' problem. It's not ours. Had nothing to do with us.
It
But
has everything to do.
we should go and do something about it, because that group's bad. So is that one. What are we gonna do? Take out both?
Yes.
Make Ethiopia the 53rd state? Ukraine's the 54th state?
Well, why the hell not?
Mm.
Oh, wait, because then they can't use them as their offshore piggy banks. Oh, well, shit. Oh, well.
Never mind. So they'll never be that way. So why are we there?
For more offshore piggy banks. And poppy fields and all these other things. And sex trafficking and what?
Caught in the middle are civilians in the northern province who now face a calamity that is being likened to horrors of Africa's past and Ethiopia's mass starvation and ethnocide. World Health Organization Director General Mr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, I can't even say his name, himself an Ethiopian, says there's nowhere on earth where the health of millions of people is more under threat. Are you sure? Nowhere?
Nowhere.
The health of millions,
No.
nowhere else in the world is under a threat like the people of Ethiopia. Abiy's government, which had celebrated Tedros' elevation of the leadership of the WHO as a matter of national pride. The WHO. Now is trying to tar him because his family has origins in Tigray. But as well as an anecdotal evidence, there is a growing body of data to support Tedros' claim that the province is on the edge of major humanitarian disaster. Though the war's true toll is impossible to know, researchers from Belgium's Ghent University estimate as many as 500,000 people so far, between 50,000 and 100,000 from the fighting, 150 to 200,000 from starvation, and more than 100,000 from the lack of medical attention. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has expressed concern about possible ethnic cleansing in Tigray, but the government of Addis Ababa has dismissed this as spurious. The Tigrayan rebels have been accused of crimes including murder, raping against other ethnic groups, but Abiy's soldiers are blamed for most of the civilian casualties, especially those from starvation and neglect. Government forces are preventing food aid and medicine from reaching Tigray, humanitarian groups say, and there are no slouches at other kinds of atrocity, including the recent immolation of the Tigrayan man, which even the government-affiliated Human Rights Commission has blamed for Abiy's forces. So I'm not... No slouches to other sides, to other kinds of atrocity, including the recent immolation of the Tigrayan man. Is this what they're going to do to white people in the States?
Oh.
I mean, it's just a thought. I'm not saying that's what it's going to be.
Oh, you did see where there was a clip from the Tucker Carlson show. I actually watched it, but there's a clip from the Tucker Carlson show where I think this is a little relevant. That in Ukraine, if any of the Ukrainian people, if any of the Ukrainian military, again Yazis, uh, ends up capturing Russian soldiers, they forcibly sterilize them and possibly do other experiments. Because that's what good Yazis do.
Mm-hmm.
And they announced that
Absolutely.
on their television, the only television network that's there in Ukraine now. So,
Gross.
yeah.
So, immolation, according to Merriam-Webster, the meaning of immolate is to kill or destroy, especially by fire.
Oh, I thought it meant something like mutilation or something.
Well, that's why I looked it up, because I wasn't quite exactly sure what it was getting at. So basically, they're killing and lighting men on fire for being certain race.
Yeah, there's several different ethnicities in and around Ethiopia.
Yeah,
They're different. They're different.
all
They're
over
like
Africa
different
and
tribes
stuff
and
like that.
people groups and stuff. I mean, yeah, like Africa is full of like different tribes and different people groups and
Right.
things.
If you've never looked at the history of Africa in a whole, and where the groups originally were, what colonization did, and actually splitting these groups up, and just drawing lines wherever they decided to draw lines, as opposed to keeping the groups with the groups or whatever, they caused a lot of harm in Africa by doing what they had done. Such outrages are likely to escalate as the war
almost like the
remains
Soviet Union
still.
did with Ukraine.
What's that?
I said almost like what the Soviet Union did with Ukraine. What?
Yeah, absolutely. Or any other region that was attacked by almost any other country and colonized. Is they went and they separated groups so that they were no longer a large group, they were now two small groups, because that's easier to take. It's harder for them to actually resist when they're no longer in a large group.
Yeah.
So then, again, such outrages are likely to escalate as the war remains stalemated. Late last year, government troops were able to beat back a rebel advance toward the capital and retake towns on the border of the Tigray. The use of military drones, apparently supplied by Turkey, helped turn the tide. Turkish drones have also helped Ukrainian forces slow the Russian advance. Oh, you don't say. Turkey has a lot to do with a lot of things, huh? While his ground forces seem to have stopped short of the assault at Tigray, their mountainous terrain and previously proved to be a distinct rebel advantage. Abiy has no qualms about ordering airstrikes that have inflicted heavy civilian casualties. This lady, the head of the UN Human Rights Commission, Michelle, says her staff has recorded hundreds of deaths from aerial attacks, apparently carried out by the Ethiopian Air Force. The government has denied this. So, their own military is going and wiping out their own people. Because it totally makes sense. Abiy and the Tigray People's Liberation Front leadership have both said they're willing to negotiate an end to the civil war. But neither side has demonstrated much flexibility on their demands. The Prime Minister want the Prime Minister want the rebels to disarm and accept rule from Addis Ababa, while the TPLF wants greater autonomy for Tigray and the accounting for the atrocities committed by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. There's little prospect in progress toward reconciliation and peace without more outside pressure. But with the world's attention focused on Ukraine and Russia, there's every chance that both sides of the Ethiopian civil war will use the stalemate to rearm for still more fighting. Who can prevent this from happening? The African Union's attempt at mediation have proved singularly ineffective. The European Union has done little since suspending some budgetary support for Ethiopia early last year. The U.S. has already exerted considerable effort. President Joe Biden has spoken directly to Abiy. His Horn of Africa envoy has traveled to Addis Ababa, and his administration has terminated favorable access for Ethiopian goods to the U.S. The only strategy that hasn't yet been tried is the imposition of sanctions against the TPLF leadership and top government figures, including Abiy himself. With Tigray on the precipice of humanitarian catastrophe, it's time for Biden to signal that option is, at the very least, on the table. So, I mean, again, stop. We don't have anything to do with this. Leave them alone. Let them do what they want to do. Let them wipe each other out.
Leave them alone.
We're paying for all this. That's where my main issue comes from is who pays for all this? Time that's something's not going right for them. They're like, oh, let's just throw some more money at it, more taxes, and we'll just take them on. So, from one country to the next is pretty much what it comes down to. And again, all this come out of the Star Tribune today. This article here was actually like, I'm like, oh, what's this? As I was actually digging up stuff to try figuring out for tonight, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. About a half hour before midnight, this thing come up, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We can add this right to the end of the. It'll give me a nice little lead into that. North Korea says it test-fired biggest ICBM. U.S. adds sanctions. Great. There we go. More sanctions on another country for doing something. Because, what sanctions do. They don't just hurt the people that they're actually sanctioning. They hurt everybody.
Yeah.
So yes, we should do that. The launch extended a barrage of weapons demonstrations this year that analysts say are aimed at forcing the U.S. to accept North Korea as a nuclear power and remove sanctions. They're aimed at forcing the U.S. to accept North Korea as a nuclear power and remove sanctions. They want to actually take away some of the sanctions because they're like, oh, just let them be nuclear power. Why would we allow that to actually happen? They're just as unstable as any other. And dang well, They're even closer to us. Oh, maybe not, I suppose. I always think that the world's flat. So North Korea said Friday it test-fired its biggest yet intercontinental ballistic missile under the orders of leader Kim Jong-un, who vowed to expand the North's nuclear war deterrent while preparing for a long-standing confrontation with the United States. Long-standing confrontation with the United States? How long has this been going on?
Since the Korean War.
Oh, since the Korean War. But
Yep.
every single president other than Donald Trump were afraid to go and talk to the guy. He just walked across the line, shook the hand, and said, "Hey, how's it going, man?" Why, stop with these wars with all these other countries. You're just going to cause this nuclear catastrophe to actually just destroy this world. You're like, global warming. Let's blow it all up and see how warm it can turn it, and see if we can't create another sun. I mean, the report by North Korean state media came a day after the military of South Korea and Japan said they detected the North launching of the ICBM in its first long-range test since 2017. The launch extended a barrage of weapons demonstrations this year that analysts say are aimed at forcing the United States to accept the idea of North Korea as a nuclear power and remove crippling sanctions against the broken economy that has been further damaged by pandemic-related difficulties. The Hwasong 17, which was fired at a high angle to avoid the territorial waters of neighbors, reached a maximum altitude of 6,248 kilometers, 3,880 miles, and traveled over 1,090 kilometers, 680 miles, during a 67-minute flight before landing in waters between North Korea and Japan. Pyongyang's official Korean Central News Agency said. KCNA claimed the launch met its technical objectives and provided the ICBM could be operated quickly during wartime conditions. The South Korean and Japanese militaries had announced similar flight details, which analysts say suggested that the missile could reach targets 15,000 kilometers or 9,320 miles away when fired on a normal trajectory with a warhead weighing less than a ton. That would place the entire U.S. mainland within striking distance. The entire U.S. mainland within striking distance. That's a big area, really, when you think about it. And they're able to actually hit wherever they would want by strategically, throwing this at us and, just wipe us all out. We'll all be done. Believed to be about 25 meters or 82 feet. The Hwasong 17 is the North's longest range weapon and by some estimates the world's biggest road mobile ballistic missile system. North Korea revealed the missile in a military parade on October of 2020. October of 2020. That's kind of interesting that they waited so long. And Thursday's launch was its first full-range test. KCNA paraphrased Kim as saying that his new weapon would make the whole world clearly aware of the North's bolstered nuclear forces. He vowed for his military to acquire formidable military and technical capabilities unperturbed unperturbed by any military threat and blackmail, and keep themselves fully ready for a long-standing confrontation with U.S. imperialists. The agency published photos of the missile leaving the trail of orange flame as it soared from a launcher truck to an airport runway near the capital, Pyongyang. And Kim, smiling and clapping as he celebrated with military officials from an observation deck. Other images showed Kim penning a memo ordering the Sing-17 test flight and approving the launch. Kim has issued handwritten orders for some of the most significant weapons demonstrations of his rule over North Korea, including its previous most recent ICBM test flight in November of 2017, which capped a highly provocative run of nuclear and missile tests that triggered a verbal exchange of war threats with then President Donald Trump. South Korea's military responded on Thursday's launch with live fire drills of its own missiles launched from land, a fighter jet, and a ship, underscoring a revival of tensions as diplomacy remains frozen. It said it confirmed readiness to execute precision strikes against North Korea's missile launch points, as well as command the support facilities. So this alone has caused South Korea to be like, oh, look what they did. We should throw up a couple drills, let's pull out the fighter planes, let's get the ships out. So I mean, this is looking like it's going to be more and more of an actual world war. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin held a separate telephone conversation with his counterparts in South Korea and Japan, where they discussed response measures to North Korean missile activities and vowed to strengthen defense cooperation, according to the U.S. Defense Department statements. Japan Minister Yoshihama Hayashi said he talked with South Korean counterpart Chung Eui-yong over the phone and agreed to strengthen bilateral cooperation against the North Korean threat and seek further UN Security Council actions against Pyongyang. Seoul's Unification Ministry, which handles inter-Korean affairs, criticized the North for breaking its self-imposed moratorium on ICBM tests. Whatever Korea's intent may be, the North must immediately suspend action that creates tensions on the Korean peninsula and destabilizes the regional security situation, and return it to the table for dialogue and negotiation. No, that's not going to happen. I really don't see it happening. I really don't see any kind of, dialogue or negotiation happening anymore. And not the way things are going. The United States requested an open Security Council meeting on the launch of it and anticipates it on Friday. Linda Thomas Greenfield, and U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, told reporters the United States also imposed fresh sanctions against 5 entities and individuals in Russia and North Korea over transferring sensitive items to the North's missile program, State Department spokesman Ned Price said. Thursday's test was North Korea's 12th round of launches this year, and the most provocative since Joe Biden took office. Yeah, so they did a couple things when Trump was in office, but it was just a few things. They did something when he first came in. They did something just before he left. Now, in the first year of Joe Biden, they've done 12 times as much. But, it has nothing to do with him. Come on. North Korea's resumption of nuclear brinkmanship reflects the determination to cement its status as a nuclear power and wrest economic concessions from Washington and others from the position of strength. Analysts say Kim may also feel a need to trumpet his military accomplishments and drum up internal loyalty while the country faces economic difficulties. See, everybody's having economic difficulties right now. It's not just us. It's not just Ukraine. It's everybody. Everybody's going to have some issues right now because of the way sanctions are on one country. It just hurts the world. The other recent tests included a purported hypersonic weapon. We went through this one. We talked about this one within the last week. You should go check out, hypersonic that I put up last week. It's very interesting. Our little show that we had done. A long-range cruise missile and an intermediate-range missile that could reach Guam, a major U.S. military hub in the Pacific. The U.S. and South Korean militaries had expected a full-range test from Ulsan 17 after concluding two of the recent mid-range launches, including components of the new ICBM. Following its streak of nuclear and ICBM tests in 2017, Kim suspended such testing ahead of the first meeting with Trump, but the diplomacy derailed it in 2019 when the Americans rejected North Korean demands for a major release of U.S.-led sanctions against North in exchange for a limited surrender of its nuclear capabilities. I don't really remember this 2019 Americans rejected North Korean demands.
Oh, yeah. That was the Trump talks, right?
Yeah, it was under Trump, but I don't remember that particular, for whatever reason. The ICBMs launched in 3 2017 test flights demonstrated that they could reach into the U.S. mainland. The larger Hwasong 17 may be intended to be armed with multiple warheads to overwhelm missile defenses. That's kind of something. That's kind of interesting. North Korea's ruling party in January had issued a veiled threat to end Kim's moratorium on ICBM and nuclear tests, citing U.S. hostility. South Korea's military has also detected signs North Korea may be restoring some of the nuclear testing tunnels it detonated just before Kim's first meeting with Trump in 2018. Some experts say the North may resume nuclear testing in coming months. Wonderful. So now we're going to deal with Korea. So
Well, China didn't let him take the deal that Trump wanted to make.
Right?
Because North Korea is China's puppet state at this point. Everything that they get is from China.
As well as just what anything else that's near China is pretty much the way I look at it. Other than India, everything else is pretty much China when it comes down to it. All the little islands, all the countries, all the from Vietnam to Korea and everything in between there. All those little countries that are there, Laos. They've all had communist issues. We've tried to interject in a lot of it. It seems as China got some kind of hold over Australia. A lot of bullshit.
It does seem that way, yeah.
Oh, well, that was actually the last article I actually had. I didn't have anything more. All that being said, it might be okay. We're going in, hour and 50 right now. America shots. Hello?
Oh, you want me to shill? That's right.
Would you like to show yourself out, sir?
I would like to shill myself out. You can go to americashirtsfirst.com. That's americashirtsfirst.com, the most based t-shirts on the planet. And you can get 15% off any of those based shirts in the store with the discount code Koolfrogg.
Awesome.
And you can also visit me on my Rumble at America Shirts, just as you see it displayed on your screen right in front of you. Capital A, capital S, all together as one word. You type it in, you'll find it there. Got some new videos posted. Go check them out.
I should go check some of those out myself.
Oh, you should. You should.
Yeah, probably. All that being said, anybody that wants to actually follow me, support me in any way, shape, or form should go down below and click on the Linktree /Koolfrogg. That's KOOLFROGG. Give me a follow. If you do anything, you should actually subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button. Share it out. If you do, currently I'm offering Discord to anybody that has actually subscribed to the channel. There are a couple people that are in the Discord that aren't part of the subscription thing or whatever. They've talked to me and they've worked their way into it. I'm fine with it for these people that are already there. Eventually this door is going to be shut and it's going to be like everybody else. Go pay me on locals to get access.
Special VIP access now unlocked for those who wish to join.
If you wish to help me out immediately, please go to buymeacoffee.com/Koolfrogg. Support me. Throw some love in there. Put a little comment.
Throw some love.
Yeah, anything that's in there, for the most part, will be read live, and any questions will be answered. Thank you very much for watching. Again, don't forget to go down below and subscribe, share, like, ring the bell, hold the bell, hit the all button on it. All that good fun stuff. I kind of took, I really took I took all the video files out, and I started the show with the one video file that started off with Katanji not being able to give a definition for the term woman, which
and again, congrats on that video, that getting well over 200.
I did two of them. That the one that goes to the Merriam-Webster dictionary has currently 254. The other one that I actually did at the beginning of the show.
I see 260 there.
Yeah, see, it's changing as we're going. The other one that I actually put at the front of this video can be seen on the channel. That one actually goes from her not being able to define a woman to the little boy standing up from kindergarten cop saying boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Because it's the truth. That's how you know what the difference between a man and a woman. But I was gonna see if I could pull up a quick file for us, which it seems like it's taking me a while to do. just wanted to share something, whatever. Where is it? Well, what did we do last night? Eventually, we just said, "Oh, well, it's fine. Let's just go."
I think so. Yes, we just bugged out.
I think I found it. Let's see if we can.
Get vaccinated.
Do what you need to do. See your doctor. Do what's best for you. And let's make sure. Later, everybody.
Later, peeps.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.